Back again, and we're going to pick up straight where we left off in our last video by, I mentioned we're going to be building our layout, but I'm not going to actually do that how you think I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually go back into the old app directory and use some of what we've already created, and so we can get on to doing the bit that we really want to be doing, which is the coding part of it. So I'm going to actually go into my old app directory, and I'm going to go to my templates directory. I'm going to copy the base template that I've already built. I'm simply just going to explain or demonstrate to you what it's actually doing. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it in our last base HTML file, base HTML twig template, which is in our current app directory. It's going to get rid of this and paste that content in, and there's also other bits that we need to take as well. If I go back into the old templates directory, I'm going to copy this entire macros folder, to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into my templates or our templates directory. Paste that in, and also share directory, copy it, and we're going to paste it into our new templates directory. I'm going to explain to you what they're doing in a minute. So let me just close all of these back down, get a bit more space. Right, so start with our now new base HTML template. If I reload the browser, you can see we're getting an error right away. And don't worry about that for the minute. I'm going to explain what the error is. So let me explain to you what's going on within our new base HTML template. At the very top, we're importing macro. Macro is a twig implementation, and it's sort of like allow us to build functions which we can then pass into our template. So we're making use of all of the tools that Twig offers us, and we're using it within our template to break it down as much as possible so it's a lot more readable. Instead of us injecting everything into the one template, we're sort of breaking it down, making it more readable. And we're using macros, we're using includes, we're using different tools that Twig offers us. All right, so the macro is what we've got in this macros directory, and at the moment I've got four files that is building specific function based on what the class or based on what the file is called. So the first one I've got is asset.macro html.twig, and what these are doing is I'm declaring macro and I'm ending it right here, and in between that is what our function is, what the actual macro is doing. So like a function, it's got a name and it can take in arguments, it can take in multiple arguments as a function would, right? So I'm taking in an argument style sheet, and this is going to be an array, and I'm doing a for each loop over that style sheet argument, checking that the enable key is set to true before I actually print out those style sheet with a key called href, which directs or points to the path where the style sheet is being stored. Same thing for our scripts. We're loading scripts, and we've declared a second argument called location, which is going to allow us to load particular scripts within the header for document or within the footer for document. Simple, like, again, it's very simple in what it's doing, and I'm going to show you where it's actually fetching these configuration from. So if I go back to my config folder, this is where all of our configuration is being stored, and I've got all the scripts and style sheet within this file called assets.yaml, and I've declared all of the style sheet that we're going to be using under the style sheet key or style sheet arrays, and I've got UIKit, which is a CSS framework that I'm using. I've chose to use it over Bootstrap for my own reason. I like it a little bit better. It's a little bit more square than Bootstrap, and I think I've drawn to it a lot more. So I mean, you can use whatever you want, it doesn't really matter, it's just my personal choice. I've brought in Google fonts, and we have also brought in our own custom style sheets. Same thing for JavaScript. We've got external scripts coming in that's going to help us to build our layout and add some functionality or add some reactive functions to it. And we've got custom scripts that we load in from our own directory. And you've also noticed that I've got a key called location, right? And this is where we're declaring what we want to load within the footer for document and what we want to load within the header for document. You can see we've got location foot, and we've got one jQuery that we're going to be loading within the header for document, same as our font awesome. That's going to be loaded in the header for document, right? With style sheets, we're only going to be loading them in one place, and that's going to be the head, because that is where you load your style sheets. That's standard, right? So this is our assets.yaml file, which we have declared all of our assets for our template is going to be coming from this particular file, and we're going to be bringing it into our macro function, and we're going to be declaring it within our base.html template. So with that said, I'm going to take you to the base file and show you how we're using them. Now, as I said, I've imported that macro file at the very top of our page, and I've given it an alias called asset.macro. So when we want to use the functions within that macro file, we have to refer to them by the alias asset macro. So if we come down into our document head, where we've declared this block head style sheet, we've put our asset.macro, and we're calling that style sheet function, and we're passing in those assets.yaml configuration file, and we're pointing to the style sheet, and that's going to simply return the array that this particular method required an argument array. We're passing that in, and it's going to do a for each loop and print out all of those style sheets for us. Same with asset macro.scripts, and we see we sort of like loading the scripts in the header using that second argument, and at the bottom we're doing the same asset macro.scripts, and we're loading the ones that we want to be in the footer through that second argument as well, right? Let's get rid of that. That's all, don't need that. But this is our newly base.html template, and you can see we've declared some block for the body. And with blocks, how they work is we can override blocks in any template that we want. So we can declare default blocks, which is going to print out anything that's in between those blocks, or if we declare those blocks somewhere else, we can override everything. So this allows us to make our template as customizable as possible, so we can change layout, change different blocks of code depending on what we're actually doing, right? So I'm using includes, so to break my template down, fine grained, breaking down my template. So I've got different chunks which I can then refer to, so I'm not having it all in one template. So this one that says IE9 is just simple a message for Internet Explorer users to say that we might not support that particular browser. And if you look into the share folder, it's called IE9. It's just a simple message for IE. I mean, whoever is still using IE, well, that would be unfortunate. But again, a simple message that's going to display that to IE browsers, and I've just included it at the very top of my template. So we declare main block, and this is where we're going to be injecting our content. So again, we're getting this error because in our document head, we've got a block title, but we've also said that we want to get any content placed between a block called content title. We want that to be our title, and we have not declared a content title block, hence why we're getting an error. So if I bring back up my index.html file, we can declare that block, and we're going to get rid of that error. So declare it outside the main. I'm going to say block content title, and I'm going to end that block down here. Content title, right? But save that, immediately reload, that error is gone. You can see now we've got a nice formatted header that we've got from our base HTML template, and it's simple just rendering our include header file right here. So if I look at the header file, we got header.html.twig. It's simple just rendering what we've got. So we've broken down our template into multiple files, which makes it so much more easy to read and work in. Same thing for our footer file. Again, we've got a simple footer that we're going to be included into our base template, so we can easily go and read. I mean, I don't think I'm loading it from this particular script actually. That's probably loaded from our admin template, which is going to be a separate base template that we're going to create for our admin section, which is going to include a little bit more, well, include a different layout basically. So this is what we're going to be using. We're going to be building our application from what we've already created, because this is not the main part of what we're doing. What we really want to be doing is coding, because that's what you guys came here for, right? And again, we've got little bits of stuff in the head, like we got conditional statements saying that if we've got a favicon, then display it. If we haven't, then don't show anything. Simple as that. A simple function. If you've done PHP, you'll understand what it's doing, right? So that's what we're working with. We've got a nicely formatted HTML block around our content. We've got style sheet loaded. We've got JavaScript loaded. We're going to now start implementing some controller functions or some controller features and start building out some of what we've already done. So stay tuned guys, because the next video is coming up after this very shortly.